Outer Wilds is one of the greatest games of all time. I'm not going to qualify that statement with anything, because I genuinely believe that if you enjoy games of any kind, you would enjoy Outer Wilds. It's changed the way I present mysteries in my stories and in my tabletop RPGs, just because it does what it does so beautifully and seamlessly. The soundtrack is beautiful and dynamic, the scenery is stunning and the characters are wonderful, and the ending of the game is stressful and exhilarating in a way you don't often see in other games. If that's enough for you, go buy the game and come back in a few days to come finish this video. It's well worth it to go in blind to figure out the little things for yourself. The opening of the game is beautiful in its simplicity. The title screen fades and you're given a prompt E to wake up, and you open your eyes to see the night sky. Quite noticeably, some sort of cannon fires off something and then explodes, but by the time you get to space, you'll probably have forgotten about it. You talk to Slate, the Harpian camping with you, who tells you to get the launch codes from Hornfels in the observatory. Between you and there, however, there are loads of little tutorials and breadcrumbs. A child teaches you how to pilot a ship using his model. You can play hide and seek using your signal scope. You see something called ghost matter. You can train in the zero-G cave in the core of the planet. And you can play with a few of the game's other main mechanics in the museum beneath Hornfels Observatory. You were introduced to the Nomai, a race of intelligent creatures that used to live all over the solar system. You see a statue of one as you enter, and after you get the codes, you leave to go back to the launch tower, and it's then that the game reveals its first mystery to you. The Nomai statue turns to you and does this. From this point forward, the game's identity as an adventure of mystery begins to shine. To exemplify this, I'm going to show one of the many ways to get to the joke ending from the very beginning of the game. This will spoil one line of the mystery, so again, go play it if you are already convinced just looking at the B-roll and hearing me gush about it. You return to the launch tower, punch in the codes, and board your little ship. You look onto your village for what could be the last time. Take off. You go and visit the first place you see, which is the Addle Rock, Timberhearth's moon. You explore the surface and find some Nomai artifacts. You could read now what the translator Hornfels gave you, and eventually wander into the first astronaut you'll see on your journey, Esker. Between them and the lunar outpost, you figure out that all the other spacefaring Hearthians play music, constantly. You can find them using your signal scope. If you're anything like me, the Hourglass Twins probably are the thing that catch your eye next. You fly to the Ember Twin and use your new signal scope skills to find Chert, who is sitting on the North Pole playing a drum. They point you to the Nomai ship crashed elsewhere on the planet. However, when prompted, they will talk about stars going supernova, and if you got here after 15 minutes, he'll point out that the sun is going to explode along with every other star. I'm sure watching this video that you've seen the sun expand and grow redder. A quick aside about the soundtrack. It's one of the best pieces of musical media out there, and that's further served by the fact it isn't constantly playing. When music is playing, something dramatic is happening, and a new piece of music means that you must have just made some kind of breakthrough. However, all the music in the game is subservient to the piece End Times, which is playing right now. No matter where you are, it plays after 22 minutes, and the sun explodes. You speak to Slate and ask them what happened, but they don't know what you're talking about. If you go back to the observatory, Hornfels will be curious about the changed statue, but you have no dialogue with them to indicate that something just changed. If instead of going to the observatory you launch, Slate will ask you how you know the codes, to which your character has no believable answer. You're in a time loop. This whole game takes place in the 22 minutes before every star in the universe goes supernova, and you are caught in a time loop that has to do with the no mind. Sometimes you'll be in space when it goes down, sometimes you'll die beforehand, and sometimes you'll be somewhere that you can't see the sun, and all you get is a dark sky and a sudden flash of light. It's beautiful. You want to track down your leads on the Nomai and the time loop you're in, so you retrace your steps to the Ember Twin and look for the crashed ship. Under it, you'll find a cavernous labyrinth, and after some difficult jetpack maneuvering, you'll find a Nomai settlement, the Sunless City. But the bottom section is already buried in sand. You explore, but you want to know what's down there, so you die or wait for the sun to go out and try again. This begins the first line of many speedrun attempts. The solar system changes drastically in 22 minutes, and there are plenty of times in completing this game where you must try to complete something just in time. You get to the city and the whole base is unburied, opening the door to the high-energy laboratory. You begin running through the tunnels, but reach a dead end, a deluge of sand slamming down onto some cactus, your worst suit-puncturing enemy. You have to wait now. Wait for the sand in the pit to rise enough for you to walk above the cactus. You rush over the spines and follow the cable into the high-energy lab, but the cable slips its way through a crack too small to go through. You panic as the games put you now in a room slowly filling up with sand, and you may die here and need to try again, or you may just make it around into freedom. You pass the ruins of what should have been the entrance, and you begin exploring the lab. The Nomai text talks about objects entering the black hole and coming out a tiny bit sooner from a paired white hole, and the game gives a few shreds of information on how the time loop works. You do some more exploring, and start playing with the black hole white hole testing area with your little scout. You wonder what happens if you take out the black hole before it enters. This ending is a joke, but it's a wonderful slice of how the game operates. There's so much more, and the game has the ship's log take notes for you, so you don't need to hold everything you read in your head. By giving you an open solar system and specific location information, the game encourages you to explore, not through quest markers or bullet points, but through coincidence, curiosity, and world building. The open sky and the planets floating in it are full of possibility, and despite their small sizes, they're packed so densely with set pieces and story detail that they do truly feel like worlds. And the Nomai and Harthians really do feel like civilizations, despite there only being a couple dozen of each. And that's what the gameplay of Outer Wilds is about, discovering a world. You aren't following just one mystery, but an interconnected web of discovery, which the ship's log visualizes nicely. Every story beat leads to 3 others, and every breakthrough leads to more questions, sending you back and forth between celestial bodies and ancient clues for hours. A loop never feels wasted, since there's always more to find. I want this game to reach everybody that has even touched a controller. After a few updates fixing some unclear parts, the mysteries flow into each other, using both gentle nudges and the natural curiosity of a player. The game's also great for speedrunning too, and I honestly wish the 100% category was a big deal in the speedrunning world because the intentional skips component of tight optimization would be glorious, but I digress. This game, I'd argue it's perfect. I don't think there's a single thing I don't like about it. So go play Outer Wilds. I'm serious. It's easily my game of the last decade, and it's the best $25 you'll ever spend on video games. It's beautiful, it's interesting, it's replayable. Like, I played it twice, just because it was fun. And I've done the last sequence multiple times, because it's so exhilarating. Honestly, go play Outer Wilds. That's all I have to say on the matter. Goodbye.